Hey, what's up, guys? Thank you for joining us again. We have Doug here. Hi, Doug,
Hey,
from
how are you? Hi,
DS5
everybody.
Group. So thank you so much for joining us and for another episode of Spotlight. So, Doug, you are the principal of DS5 Venture Group, right? I would
Yeah,
like to hear a little bit more about it. I know that you have a very unique tagline, which is that you work with atypical founders. So tell us about your fund and what do atypical founders mean?
yeah. No, thanks for having me here. This is really exciting. From the fund perspective, I wanted to create an investment vehicle that allowed me to focus on just underrepresented people, and I really struggled with how to go through that valuation perspective. And what I realized is I really wanted to focus on personal characteristics, behavioral characteristics that I think are good leaders and ultimately would be good founders to focus on. So that's where I focused on atypical founders. And these are both underrepresented minorities, but they're also people that they've just taken a non-traditional path to launching a company, and they could be a geographic area or what, but they have all the great talent, ability, and the idea to be very successful in the startup community. So I wanted my investment vehicle is all about being able to focus on those founders and provide them the resources that they need.
Excellent. So as you guys may know, Doug does focus on early stage tech founders. So if you guys have more that you want to ask him, make sure to go check out his website, which we're going to link below as well. So as somebody who is going through a lot of different deals on like an everyday basis, it's always interesting to ask other investors, what are the biggest kinds of red flags are you seeing these days? And if they are different from, let's say, last year when it comes to deal sourcing or analyzing different deals.
Yeah, no, I think a couple big red flags kind of stand out to me. I want to look at the cohesion of that founding team. If it kind of looks like it's thrown together and they don't accent each other very well, that stands out as obviously a red flag. Their ability to stay cohesive, because launching a company is a difficult thing, and if they're not cohesive, then obviously that could lead to long-term problems going into the future. And then I honestly, the other biggest red flag is for me, I want to be excited about the idea. And if I look through that pitch deck and I just kind of have this very mundane kind of feeling about it, then it's a real easy no for me, because it's really hard for me to run around, and our job is to bring awareness to the founders that we work with and the startups. And if it's not exciting for me, then it's really hard for me to run around and brag to all the other investors I know and about their different milestones. So that's the two biggest things I really look for in an evaluation standpoint.
Oh, fantastic. So it sounds like you really are the kind of investor that wears your heart on your sleeve. Would you agree?
Maybe a little bit too much. Yeah, I mean, but you spend a lot. The joke is you get married, right? And you're married for years, and you spend a lot of time together, both happy times and not so happy times. So, I want to be connected to founders and investors also that feel that also. So yeah, so I wear the heart a little bit on the sleeve.
That's fantastic. I'm sure that is a great role model, for the rest of your team at your venture group.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, they get a good kick out of it.
And so going on with COVID, as we are, a lot of cities around the world are heading into their second lockdown, and a lot of businesses, once again, are closing again, and a lot of industries are being affected in both negative and positive ways, just in different ways, I guess. So in your opinion, what kind of big pivots have you seen, either in the startups that you guys have invested in or just in industries in general? So that there's lots of different pivots that companies could take,
Right.
but which ones do you find to be the most interesting during this pandemic?
I mean, the one obvious one is obviously just the pivot to remote capabilities, and that's been the easy one, and that's probably more of a hindsight pivot than a forward-thinking pivot, right? Like we're just adapting to survive, so to speak. But the one really interesting pivot that I think that we're really focused on is and it's kind of funny how to phrase this, but we're really focused on collaboration and providing all these different avenues. In this maybe go over to a red flag. Like we're almost over collaborating in these remote. We have 6 systems that all do the same. It's all about talking back and forth to each other, email and chats, and it would be great to see some of those kind of funneled together. And those are some of the ones I'm really focusing on, that it provides a better one-stop shop instead of piecing together different technology forms.
Great. And yeah, and changing the way that people work is a big investment hot topic right now too.
Mhm.
Is that one of the big focuses that you guys have for 2020, or did it not really change regardless of the pandemic?
Well, we're still early in the formation process. So we basically, the whole concept of this venture group picked up during COVID and really came. So I started looking for deals in the middle of all this fun pandemic stuff. But I do think that a lot of investors are overly focused on trying to cycle through the COVID process as far as what tech deals are looking at.
Yeah.
And we're even overshadowing even the regular day-to-day life that we hope to go back to someday. There's still a lot of value in companies that are solving problems that they face on a day-to-day aspect. And a lot of those, there's a lot of people that are now launching companies because they're in a position that they can because of COVID. So they are focusing on problems that are, quote unquote, the old normal, right? And those are going to be great companies. They're going to solve good things. And they can be adapted to, the post-COVID normal, whatever that ends up being.
Yeah, actually, an investor and a mentor of mine has said exactly the same thing. Is how would you evaluate a company during COVID? Is what would you evaluate it if there wasn't COVID?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
No, and I was like, oh, that makes a lot of sense actually. And as you know, you and millions of other people around the world are now working from home because you have to, socially distance, and you are staying at home a lot more. Is there any new habit that you've picked up during your quarantine, or anything that you've learned about yourself?
I started eating better. It's amazing not getting in the car and running around and having all these face-to-face meetings. It's a little bit easier to schedule meals. One routine I've done, and I think I mentioned this before, is I have a standard morning call with a founder that has now become a morning walk routine. I get a nice little 2-mile, just get the brain juices kind of going, talk about something exciting, in the startup scene, and then kind of go throughout the day.
So
those
you
are
walk outside with your phone. Is that what you mean by?
I have headphones on. Yeah, I just put some headphones on and take a walk. Yeah, I live in this very nice kind of wooded, secluded area right on the outside of an urban hub. So it's a real nice walk, and I get to see a lot of wildlife. And now we get this fall Christmas in the air, and that's pretty beautiful. But those are on the day-to-day routine. Those are probably the two biggest things that I've changed. But then the other thing, and this is I think you can relate to this, is I have a ton more meetings now because they're all remote. So I'm taking, by being able to go to a virtual meeting context, you can get a lot more meetings in because you're not driving back and forth and using, losing that time resource in the travel part of it. And that's actually opened up from, both a marketing and a networking perspective.
That is great. I do agree that, definitely being booked back to back to back is a very different concept when you are running around and trying to gather all of those meetings physically, right? So when I was in Hong Kong, having 3 meetings in a day would have taken me the whole day. I would have done nothing the whole day because mostly you're just underground and in transport. And and so having it like this is so interesting. And have you also had the pleasure of doing or judging pitch events and things like that, like the same way that we have? And what was your experience with that digitally versus in person?
So I haven't judged any pitch events, but I've attended quite a few. I think there's something about human energy, and when you're just face to face with someone, you can really pull a lot from them. And obviously some of that is lost when you're just in a video or remote context. So it's really hard to some people when you're evaluating founders, you want a nice, vibrant, positive energy come from that founder, and they're just oozing with happiness to tell you about their idea. And obviously them doing that in their bedroom or in their dining room or whatever the case may be, that's lost a little bit in translation. And they should be. They should be. I mean, I'm locked in a bedroom myself, right? Everyone's they're making do with their remote situations, but they should be just as excited about their pitch and just lay it all out there. Just be excited to bring awareness to their products and their companies. That's probably been the biggest thing I've noticed.
Perfect. I think that's really well said. And it was, that kind of je ne sais quoi, you don't know what you're missing when you're at these online events and you're like, something else was normally here. And, and I think that you've really touched spot on that. And so now we're going to go play a game. So you have your 2 pieces of paper, right?
Yeah, I got ready.
Oh, perfect. Okay. So separate them into two pieces. And then
All right.
we are going to use these to play truth and lie. So we are going to write one thing that is true and one thing that is a lie. And I'm going to try and guess which one is true on your side, and you're going to try and guess which one is true on my side.
All right. So I got my two.
Okay, great. So I'll show you mine first, so then you can guess first, okay? So here's the first one is I'm allergic to peanuts.
Okay.
And then here's the second one, which is I cut my own hair. So which one do you think is true? And which one do you think is a lie?
All right, let me see the end of your hair.
You can't really see much.
Yeah, I don't know. That's a little bit tougher. I'm gonna go with I think allergic to peanuts.
No,
No?
I don't have any real allergies, but I do. I started to get really good at during COVID to cut my own hair.
Cut your
I have
own
this
hair. That's
tool
pretty good,
that I
yeah.
bought from Shark Tank. And I'm like, I will buy this. This was a convincing, passionate pitch. See?
Right. No, so I immediately wanted to go with I cut my own hair because like what's the more believable one of the two? And I was like, like it looks like there's a little bit of layer there. And to cut your own hair and the layer is difficult. Yeah. So that's why I went with the allergic to peanuts.
No, but good try, and I'm gonna see if I can guess yours and get it right.
All right. So my handwriting is nowhere near as good as yours. So can you see those?
No. Okay. Yeah, you have to just bring it closer.
Right.
I'm
so
colorblind.
Or
okay.
I kayak
routinely. Okay, so you just mentioned that you live somewhere in the woods. There may or may not be the water scenario there. So that is plausible. And from my ninth grade biology, I know something like 25% of males do have some kind of color blindness because of the chromosomes. So, and then also from my personal experience, none of the men I know who are colorblind have admitted it, outright. So I'm not sure if you would just write that out,
Right.
I think you're colorblind.
Ooh, no, I do kayak quite a bit.
Oh,
yeah.
I should have done like that.
So yeah, no color, and I don't have a water source immediately where I live, but I mean I'm a big just outdoors nature guy.
Great.
And I love to hike and camp and it's really just about unplugging, and there's a lot of chaos in the day to day, and I just love taking and I've started doing Friday afternoon hikes for meetings. I try, if there's a chance I can schedule a hike over a meeting, I try to schedule that up, and it works really well.
That's
wonderful. I bought a kayak last summer. It was really great. I just moved into my neighborhood. And I realized when I got it off my vehicle, I put it down in the driveway, and I was like, I've never actually sat in the kayak. I just bought it at the store, and I don't know if it works. So I've not met a single neighbor yet, and I'm literally sitting in my driveway paddling, pretending what it would be like, if I'm on the water, and all of my neighbors seem to come out at the same time, and they had a ton of questions on. on what, and it was great. This one guy pulls up and goes, in my day we were really worried about drowning, but you definitely don't have that problem. As he's looking at all the rocks and everything else, I was like, that's perfect. So
that is wonderful. That is a great way to meet your neighbors.
Yeah, no, they're all wonderful. Yeah, but it was a great conversation starter, and got a chance to interact with them, and
for sure,
a real cool thing ever since.
Yep. For sure. Okay, awesome. Well, thank you so much for playing the game and for the interview. And now, Doug, we would love to ask you, what is an initiative or a startup or something that you're very excited about right now that you'd like to share with us?
So the biggest thing that has me excited right now is just the fund that I'm launching. I'm really focused on this impact investing fund and focused on basically trying to generate resources for these atypical founders. Another initiative that's really dear to me. I'm a military vet myself, and I have this avenue to actually start building out an incubator that is specifically focused on military veterans and helping them launch startup companies. So those are the two big things that it's taking all of my excitement is focused there. I'm really excited to see where they go, and I think they're just going to do so much good, for all the different founders that I can interact with. So I'm really excited about those two things.
Wonderful. And so, you guys, we are going to be linking those in the description below. And Doug, if somebody is a military entrepreneur, or they would like to ask you questions about your fund, or they are an atypical founder, what's the best way to get connected to you?
Definitely reach out to me via email or through my website. My email is just ds at ds5 venture group. And Cindy, you can link that to it. Please reach out to me. I do a lot of mentorship and advising just for founders, and only because I just enjoy the conversations. I love to hear new ideas and brainstorming, and I'm happy to be a sounding board for whatever they're working on. So I hope they reach out, and I'm to help with any way that I can.
Perfect. And you guys can go take that virtual hike with Doug.
Yeah, definitely. You can take the hike with me. Yeah.
So thank you so much, and we will see you guys next time. Bye. Thanks, Doug.
Yeah. Bye.